Hello, welcome to Art Online. My special guest today is the street artist known as ATM. Hi, well, I'm going to call you Mark if that's okay, because that's your,
Yeah,
that's really, but you go by the name of ATM. How are you doing, mate?
yeah, I'm all right, thanks. Yeah, just about hanging on in there. Thank you.
We've spoke quite a few times, and I've followed your work a lot, and you're known for your paintings of birds, basically in the natural world, and
Yeah,
you get out and about. I mean, you do sort of little drawings as well, but you're known for your street art, your big
yeah.
pieces
Mm.
of things. And I wanted to ask you, because one of the things that people are talking about a lot in lockdown is the fact that they go out and they hear birds a lot more, and particularly if they're in people spending more time in the gardens or the balconies, they're seeing birds a lot more. And I thought, well, I'd like to know a bit more about that. Who on earth could I talk to that is the best person to talk about birds? I thought of you.
Right, yeah. Oh, well, I'll tell you what I can.
Yeah, no, please. So, I mean, what sort of birds do you think we would be? Say, if you're like in an urban environment, like London, for example, what sort of birds do you think we should be expecting to see? During the day when we're all working from home and we want to have a quick look at the balcony, and we want to.
Well, from my experience, because I live in Acton, West London, yeah, it's very urban. There's few street trees and there's a few little park spaces, and yeah, like there's dawn chorus. Because I live on a ground floor flat. There's a basement below with a garden at the back, but I haven't got access to the garden, so I just sometimes listen to the birds singing through the open bathroom window. But the dawn chorus this morning consisted of one blackbird and one robin. So it's, for a long time we had wrens in the back, but there aren't any wrens singing at all. So, and a blackcap came and I think is gone. A blackcap was there singing in February, but I think that's gone. But then when I go down to the little park, there's wrens, robins, blackcaps, house sparrows, starlings, wood pigeons, and occasionally I saw a couple of grey wagtails. There's a little pond there, but they just stopped off on their way somewhere else. And yeah, there's magpies. There's a magpie's nest in the street just opposite where I live. So, and there's a couple of crows hanging around. There's great tits and blue tits. Yeah, you can see and hear them quite a lot.
It does seem that there's a lot. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Do you think that this thing about there being more birds around is real, or is it just because we're wanting to hear the natural world, a little bit more? And do you think all us humans being locked inside are helping the birds out?
Yeah, I definitely think we can hear more simply because there's so much less traffic, and also there's no planes, and so we can. Because I went for a walk around Richmond Park, and that was right beneath the flight path going into Heathrow. So normally there's a plane every 2 minutes. So and they've also shut it to all vehicles and cyclists. So it's unbelievably peaceful, and you can hear every bird that's singing. And that was really great. So, and also, I mean, there's been lots of things all over the world of animals and birds starting to relax more and come more into urban spaces, and being seen where they've not been seen. So they're definitely responding to less people and less traffic and less activity as well. Yeah. So. And I think also, like you say, the fact that everyone's kind of pretty much locked in and forced to be aware of their immediate surroundings means that we're more aware of things. Whereas, we might well be traveling or thinking about other things, and we're more focused on what's around us. That's for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely picked it. I've always loved birds, and sort of fueled by your great artwork of them. To be honest with you, what I learn about birds is usually because you've painted something and sort of put it out there. Oh well, look into that's very interesting.
Yeah, you have to do some research.
And I so I've got a bit of a routine. So I'm working from home, and there's a little bit of outside space. It overlooks a car park. Basically, I'll overlook a car park. There's a big tree. That's all there is. Everything else is sort of contrary, and a couple of bushes. But actually, that tree you spend a little bit of time looking at it, and it's, you know, it's teeming with life, absolutely teeming. It's only one tree in the middle of a car park, and
Yeah.
I've got a little feeder in the outside space I've got. So I've got sunflower seeds and some fat balls there, and I get goldfinches, loads of goldfinches, blue tits, great tits. I've seen a couple of robins, though they don't come to the feeder. I've seen sparrows, yet they like to dance in the bushes, and they
Yeah.
occasionally come to the feeder, but they don't spend a lot of time on there. It's just it's just remarkable, really. You know, just
Yeah.
how much there is if you just look.
One thing I've noticed as well, because normally at this time of the year I'd be going off camping, going out to the woods, and really kind of immersing myself in nature. But because I can't really do that at the moment, I've been walking around my little patch, which is just a little recreation ground. It's got a couple of football pitches on it and a tennis court and a little tiny bit of woodland. But I've been literally looking at every tree, and I know what you mean. Getting to know every tree and really focusing on what I can see, which has been really interesting as well.
Are garden birds, you know, like the, you know, the sparrows, the blue tits, the goldfinches, are they quite territorial though? So the birds that you're seeing, do you think they're the same birds, or do they move around?
Oh, at this time of the year,
Yeah.
they're all very territorial. Yeah, because they're all protecting their patch, they're rearing their young, and so later on in the year, after the end, the breeding season, birds become less territorial and maybe go around in flocks together over the winter and move around. Cover a much larger area. But at this time of the year, yeah, they're protecting their patch definitely. Yeah.
So is that what we're hearing when we hear the dawn chorus? Then are they sort of singing to their friends, or are they looking for a mate? What might they be
Well,
doing?
now they've already found a mate now, so they're well established. The nest's been built. Most birds are feeding their young now. The young will have hatched, and so pretty soon there'll be lots of baby birds out and about being fed by their parents. But yeah, so they're singing, yeah, just to, I suppose, because I do believe they enjoy singing. They're singing for the love of singing as well, but they're doing it to let other people know that that's their territory.
And you mentioned nests there, because I'm thinking about my big tree outside in the car park, and yeah, I can't, I can never see a nest. I mean, I go into, the park, like there's a park near me as well. I go there, and you look up, and the big trees, you can see these massive nests, and you think, oh, a crow or something must be in those nests. But where do they build these nests, and how do you know that there might be a nest around, so you don't disrupt it, if you like?
Well, I mean, sparrows traditionally nest in eaves, so I mean that's one of the reasons why there are far fewer house sparrows around, because modern building doesn't allow access under the eaves. So sparrows, yeah. So any little gap under an eave or in a wall. I mean, blue tits and great tits nest in holes. I mean, that's why they like nest boxes. But yeah, holes in walls, holes in trees. I mean, things like robins and blackbirds will nest in a dense bush, often quite low to the ground, but usually in a very well protected, concealed
Yeah,
area.
they're quite cautious, aren't they? But in terms of where they go, they don't want to go anywhere where there might be a perceived danger, which I suppose might be why I'm not seeing too many in the car park, because there's cars going around. And
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, crows and magpies don't bother so much. They build their nest quite high up at the top of the tree, and it's bulky sticks, and so they're not too worried about camouflaging it. But the smaller birds, nests are usually, the materials they use to build their nests are often, part of the surrounding environment, so they're very well camouflaged.
and what sort of things should we be thinking about? If we do have like a feeder, what should we be putting out to feed the birds, to make sure that they're okay food wise?
Yeah, well, there's a big debate about whether it's wise to feed birds in especially in the summer months, because some people say it takes them away from finding their own natural food, especially when they're feeding chicks, because chicks, even of birds like sparrows, which kind of normally eat a lot of seed, in the spring when they're feeding their chicks, they feed them nearly all live young, like caterpillars and insects.
All right.
if we put too much bird food out, then the chicks might not get the proper diet they need, and the birds become habituated to going to bird feeders, and it makes, some studies even say that it makes them lazy and fat. They
Oh,
kind of,
right.
yeah. So whereas in the winter time, putting out food can literally save their lives, when there's shortage of food. So, but I think, yeah, I mean, a lot of birds like mealworms, which is like a live food, but you mustn't give them mustn't put out too many mealworms. But
Is it about being just
yeah,
a bit careful about just like not overloading the,
I think so.
feeder
Especially
and stuff?
especially at this time of the year when there is a natural food around. Yeah, it's yeah, but I'm not really an expert on exactly what birds require, what food, at what time of year, and that. I know there's a debate about it.
Well, I can tell you now that goldfinches love sunflower seeds. They go through those sunflower seeds like I've never seen in my life. Honestly, they're just like chowing down on those sunflower seeds all the time. I think that's probably why there's goldfinches. I don't put a lot out, but
No,
yeah, they're always there. They're amazing.
no, it's true. I mean, goldfinches are kind of one of the exceptions. They're really increasing in numbers. They're kind of considered a specialist feeder. You didn't really get them in towns and cities, but it's precisely because people put out seeds for them that they've population's really booming. I know in London for sure, because I see them all the time, and they used to be quite rare.
Yeah, it's amazing that, isn't it? How, because I was looking at the Big Garden birdwatch numbers. I shared with you a post, included one of your murals in it. It was actually of the goldfinch, and
Yeah.
it's really interesting when you look at that and you see that some birds are going up, but then there's others that are struggling. So the sparrow is going down, or it
Mm.
has over a period of time anyway. But things like the goldfinch going up and blue tick going up, and I think wood pigeon and I think yeah, and there's a few others, but others going
Wood
down.
pigeons
It's a
have gone up
balance, isn't it?
huge. Wood pigeons have gone up hugely. I think 900% or something in the last 30
Yeah,
years, because
massive.
they've moved out of the countryside and colonized cities. They're doing really well in cities. So they're a big success story.
Yeah, massive success. We get a few wood pigeons out, out there. Um, so yeah, is there anything else that we can do then or what we might look out for in terms of what birds might be around and might be flying over our heads at this time of year that whilst we're walking around?
Well, I mean, it's always nice. It's always worthwhile looking up. There's even in the little bit of park that I'm talking about in Acton, I often see a sparrowhawk overhead.
Oh,
So there's and they kind of fly
wow.
around in big circles. So it's worth looking out for them. But there's not many birds actually on the move. I mean, it's more like early spring and in the autumn when migrating birds are traveling across London, looking, going either coming back from warmer climates to nest here, or going in the opposite direction in the autumn. But at the moment, it's mostly like it's the resident birds. Everyone's in residence, being really busy. Raising families.
Oh, it's quite nice, isn't it? It's a nice thought. Mark, ATM Street Art, thank you very much for talking to me. I knew you'd be the perfect person to talk to about birds. I'm seeing a lot more. Everyone else that I seem to be talking to is just enjoying them and seeing them as well. So thanks for talking to me.
Thanks very much.